Hello and welcome back to my wildlife garden. So it's the middle of July, it's a scorching hot afternoon. It's got a bit late for the bumblebees already. All the early bumblebees and the tree bumblebees have gone for the year, which makes me a tiny bit sad. But there's lots of other stuff to see, so I'm going to take you on a little tour and we'll see what lovely flowers and insects and who knows what else might turn up. See what we can find. Catmint is still looking nice. A little bit tatty around the edges, but it's been flowering for 2 months now. Lots of honeybees on it. Not so many bumbles at the moment. Really good plant though for such a long flowering season, keeps the bees happy for ages. Bindweed. Bit of a pain, but in the wilder parts of the gardens I think it's rather beautiful. Clambers around up the thistles here and gets visited by bumblebees. What's not to love? Oh, as if to order. Thank you, Mrs. B. This is a great time of year for marjoram. Absolutely covered in insects. This is a must-have for every wildlife garden. Great stuff that you can put in your cooking too, but we've got dozens of honeybees over the back there, flitting about occasionally. There's a gatekeeper. Nice to see at least a few butterflies in the garden. And yeah, it's just a beautiful native wildflower. There's the gatekeeper. Let's see if we can... There we go. Oh, not very obliging, but anyway. Lovely little butterflies. They've just come out in the last few days. Nice to see them flying around the garden. So, marjoram. Top plant. This is a male white-tailed bumblebee. Rather lovely yellow, fluffy bees. Come round and show yourself with a little yellow face. Look at that. What's not to love? Kind of woodland edge species, the ringlet. And, lovely, handsome, chocolatey brown creature. Hogweed, all over my garden. I'm not sure whether I should be encouraging it or not, but as you can see here, lots of insects on it. Seemingly every flower has at least one pair of mating soldier beetles sitting on it. And it does seed rather enthusiastically. I've seen finches eating the seeds, but they clearly don't eat enough of the seeds because I've got rather a lot of hogweed in the garden. But hey. Look at this beauty. The swollen-thighed flower beetle, Udinera nobilis. Maybe the males have the huge legs, I'm told. Not quite sure what they do with them. Nonetheless, gorgeous. Lovely selection of insects on here. Look at them go. Got dozens of different species buzzing about. These soldier beetles are at it everywhere. Come on, boys and girls. It's an absolute disgrace. This, of course, is lavender. Fantastic. Summer favourite with the bees. Particularly bumblebees. Get a few honeybees, but the flowers are just a little bit too deep for honeybees, so better suited to the bumbles. This is my buddleia bush. Huge thing, about 12 feet tall, covered in blossom. But I'm very sad to say, I've scarcely seen a butterfly on it this year. Buddleia is commonly called the butterfly bush because butterflies are supposed to love it. And I remember when I was a kid, in my butterfly collecting days, that you could guarantee every buddleia bush would have small tortoiseshells, peacocks, red admirals, the odd painted lady if you're lucky, commas, large whites, small whites, all the kind of garden butterflies, but there's just nothing. Kind of breaks my heart. One thing you do see on buddleia, which is rather nice, is seems to be a favourite with young queens, buff-tailed bumblebee queens, that are just fattening up for hibernation. So she'll have been born perhaps a few days ago. She's almost certainly already mated, and she's just building up her fat reserves before she goes into hibernation through to next spring. So obviously the more food she can get, the better. Blown around by this gusty breeze that's just sprung up, but she's clinging on in there and doing her best to drink as much sugary nectar as she can. Most of the garden is a kind of rough meadow dotted with fruit trees that I've put in. That's a peach that I rather optimistically planted. I guess climate change might help me out on that one. Mostly apples and pears of all sorts of varieties. And I leave the grass and just cut it once a year like a hay meadow. But I do, so I can get about and get to my apple trees, cut a few paths like this one, and they kind of meander through the undergrowth, so it feels like having a bit of an adventure going for a walk around the garden. It's nice to see free-range chickens enjoying themselves out and about. The turkeys we have seem to keep the foxes away, and out here they can wander about all day long, have a good dust bath. Look at her. Proper natural chicken behaviour. It's so hot today, the poor things are all flaked out. But, oh, look at that. She seems pretty happy, doesn't she? It's a hard life being a chicken. Great layers, these things, are called skylines. Produce bluish eggs. There's Jeffrey again at the back with his girls. They're all getting a bit excited for some reason. Calm down there. It's not tea time yet. This is a lovely little flower I'd like to encourage more of in the garden. Tufted vetch. It's a native wildflower. I've got a couple of little patches of it in the long grass, and I'm hoping it will spread. I've seen great yellow bumblebees in the Outer Hebrides absolutely loving this stuff. Not that I'm likely to get a great yellow bumblebee here, but you never know your luck. I might get something exciting if I can get enough of it to thrive. This is Oxeye Daisy, very common meadow flower. Didn't used to be in the garden, and as far as I know, I didn't introduce it, so it's just appeared. Oh, hello, Poppy. It just appeared in the last couple of years, and it seems to be spreading in the meadow, which is rather lovely. Mainly visited by flies and beetles. There's one of the numerous soldier beetles around the garden. But lovely natural meadow flower, and very welcome. Long may it thrive. This one, of course, is ragwort, another native wildflower, loathed by horse owners. Horses don't eat it when it's growing fresh because it's poisonous, but if it's cut as part of hay and dried out, they will eat it, and it can kill them. But I let it grow in my garden. There's no horse paddocks nearby, no hay meadows, so it doesn't do any harm. And the insects love it. Not terribly busy at the moment, but we've got a fly in there. And a little solitary bee buzzing around. Another couple of flies at the back. It's rather beautiful as well, I think, and of course very easy to grow. Now, let me just see if we can get a view of that little... Oh, some little solitary bee, but he's buzzed off, as they are wont to do. This is one reason to tolerate having ragwort in your garden, aside from the insects that visit the flowers. Cinnabar moth larvae, very common, beautiful things, help keep the ragwort in check. If you look carefully, you can see there's some really tiny ones. Oh, not sure we can focus on those. No, it's a bit too close. Anyway, that's better. And big fat ones behind with their classic yellow and black stripy jerseys. Like some other moths, burnet moths and so on, they're poisonous, so because ragwort is poisonous, the caterpillars store the poisons from the ragwort in their bodies and make themselves poisonous. And hence then they advertise by this, that standard black and yellow stripes is a common visual signal to predators saying, don't eat me, I'm poisonous. But if that doesn't work, there's something else they do, which this one round here is doing. So they have this kind of nervous twitch if anything's disturbing them. Let's see if we can get him to do it. Not really behaving himself. Kind of doing it a little bit, which they use to try and shake off, there he goes, parasitic wasps and so on that might try and get them. This is another weed, of course, marsh thistle. But loved by bees, as are most thistles. Spiky stuff, but down the bottom of the garden here I don't see any harm. You can see there's quite a bit of it. But buzzing with insects, what have we got up here? We've got a very tired old common carder there, gathering some nectar. Bumblebee. There's flies, there's several honeybees. Nice plant, good nectar source, albeit a bit spiky. Here's a large skipper butterfly. He's a male perched up, keeping an eye out for girls. Males have a sort of diagonal black line on the top of the wings that apparently produces a pheromone. You know, many people might think that was a moth, not the most colourful butterfly, but I think they're rather cute. Large skipper. And here we have a small skipper, slightly smaller cousin of the large skipper, both in the garden. Again, this is a male. You can see the little diagonal black mark on the forewing. Handsome little beasts, feeding on Verbena bonariensis, which is it's not a native. I think they're from South America, but I could be wrong. It's a rather handsome, tall flower that butterflies seem to quite like. This looks absolutely disgusting. It's a bin full of comfrey cuttings and rainwater. I'm producing liquid compost to put on my tomatoes. Comfrey leaves are fantastic for that. But also you can see it's alive with flies of various types. Not sure whether they're here to drink or to lay their eggs. Most of those look like green buffles, so they wouldn't lay their eggs here. But hey. Oh, there is what looks like a big Eristalis hoverfly just emerged. I don't know if you can see that. There it goes. So maybe she's either likely to have been egg laying in here, so their larvae are aquatic and live in little rot holes like that, or she might have just emerged. Here we have a mass of mainly greater knapweed, which is a lovely wildflower, and some field scabious, and a few foxgloves going over, and some red campions. And it's buzzing with insects. Got some bumblebees, honeybees, some hoverflies. It's all a bit rank and overgrown, as you can see, but in here it's just buzzing with insect life. Here's a meadow brown that's flown into my greenhouse, which means I can film him a little more easily. Possibly the most boring of our butterflies to look at, but I spent 3.5 years studying these for my PhD, counting little tiny dots on the undersides of the hind wings, and some males have none, some have 1, 2, 3 or 4, occasionally 5, and I was trying to work out why. After 3.5 years, I came to the conclusion, we don't know. Not the most exciting PhD ever, but hey. The meadow brown is probably our commonest butterfly. Its larvae feed on grass, which obviously isn't in terribly short supply. It's a typical hay meadow species, but it seems able to survive in semi-improved grasslands and field margins and so on. Bit drab, but very sweet. I better put this one out of the greenhouse before it overheats. These are my runner beans. Need bee pollinating, normally pollinated by longer-tongued bumblebees. But where are you, bees? They're not here today. But they seem to be doing something because little beans are forming. So somebody's been visiting this plant in the last few days. At the moment it seems to be nothing but flies, which probably won't pollinate it. They're the wrong shape to get into the flowers. And there's a treat. Look at that little beauty. It's a small copper butterfly. Breeds on sorrels and docks. Handsome little things. Related to the blue butterflies, but the coppers, as you might guess, coppery coloured wings. It's hiding a bit from our view now. I think that one's a female, slightly less colourful on the top side. Yes, you can see she's not the brightest in coloration. Lovely butterflies there. My thistle collection also includes some creeping thistle, which is a right pest if I'm honest. Creeping thistle because it sends these kind of underground rhizomes spreading around and shoots up all over the place. But look how much the beetles like it. Covered. Good for butterflies too. Just to complete my thistle collection, this is spear thistle, the other common thistle. Very spiny blighter, but beautiful, beautiful flowers. Popular with many insects when it really gets going. This one's just come out. So there we have it, another exciting adventure around my wildlife garden. That's it for July, but join me next month where I might well be posting from my place down in France, where there may be some more exciting wildlife to film, who knows. Depends on my finding a decent internet connection, but we'll see. Anyway, see you next month. Bye.